Welcome everyone. We're back with Alex Tan Tiong Hee again today. And following from last week when he was talking about some of the fond memories of Chinatown, the food, trishaws, pirate taxis, and even the race riots. Today what we're gonna share with Alex is the other phase of Chinatown's history, subsequently when urban renewal happened and Chinatown was to be remade, rehabilitated, in some cases demolished to make way for a sparkling new city center. Do you recall any of the bulldozers and demolition that went on in Chinatown?
People's Park. Very distinct, very obvious, very prominent, and very excited. Why? Because people were talking about new building, shopping center, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why. But for me, I'm nonplussed. I mean, I'm neutral. I just have to allow circumstances as they come. This developer constructing a very tall structure, shopping that incorporates shopping, residential, food court, People's Park.
You're referring to the complex, People's Park complex.
Right. Correct. And it's a beautiful design.
Most of the shop houses in Chinatown have been conserved. They have been renovated and they have been protected for conservation as part of our heritage. They look slightly different and they function very differently. What do you think about the conservation of the facade of Chinatown? Does it do enough to maintain our heritage in Chinatown?
Well, that's the best I think we could do. But there again, it's very Hollywood-like. You could see the restoration from the original. You could see that everything is done to kind of improve on from the original, to improve on it. That would be the building, the building when you see it. And you could picture with nostalgia what it was like. In the old days, the folks, as we walk along Nanking Road to have our favorite hor fun, he operates right up until 10, 11 o'clock at night. The folks, the residents would be sitting outside, chatting, and then those around there who are staying there who will be plying their trade. Small little stall holders, whatever item they sell for shoppers, and then the food. Now those people will always be around. There will always be people there, right? Chatting, sitting around, doing nothing, sitting around. Remember, in those days there was no karaoke, no TV, the nightlife was practically very empty. So people while their time there. But today it's different. The nightlife there is full of lights. After work from Raffles Place, they congregate there for the happy hour kind of thing.
That is kind of interesting, isn't it, in a way? Because in the past, Chinatown was, of course, known for also the so-called vices, right? I mean, there was a lot of drinking there, a lot of gambling, of course, a lot of sex.
And fightings. And
right? Gangs, right.
Gangsters, yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget, that would be the area congregated by the secret societies, the triads. And very fierce, because in those days, the arm of the law wasn't so effective as like today. Today, it's very, Singapore policing is very efficient. And secret societies has practically disappeared.
That's right. So Chinatown has been cleaned up in a sense, right? Of these things. Although in some parts it has kind of come back. There are massage parlors.
Yes.
They've sprung up in Chinatown over the last 20 years or so. And I guess business finds a way in Chinatown.
Yes, the marketplace. the marketplace of ideas and opportunities. Just step in. It was like a purge. I mean, the old Chinatown suddenly is a new Chinatown, the complete purge, a kind of a whitewashing revolution, social revolution taking place.
And all those exotic foods, remember, they are all gone now, right?
It's all Chinese food. The
I remember.
Sichuan.
I remember when I was young, right? There used to be someone who was like just hitting the fish to kill it,
Yeah,
in public, that kind of thing
yeah,
going on.
yes, that's the one in Nanking Street. I mentioned the Hor Fan, Liu Yu, the fresh, the river fish, the snake fish, and then he does it, and it's so fresh because the fish was still alive, and when he cooks it, you could tell. I mean, you really enjoy the taste and the quintessence of it all.
What were the exotic animals or seafood that were being sold there that no longer available today? You got to go to JB for them.
Um, can't think, but except for the Liu Yu, the Hor Fan, the Liu Yu, that's very rare. Of course, it is not comparable to today's standard, or rather today's standard incomparable to what it was like in the old days standard.
Snakes? Did you ever eat snakes?
No, and for snakes, I cannot think of any place snakes except
You mean in the
the monk.
past or
The
now?
past, in the past, in the past. Snakes. I'm not sure about snakes, but I know of bats, 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 and bats. And what's the other one? Not dog food lah. I heard the rumors, but I don't think so. Located at the today, it's Chinatown shopping. Hold on, opposite People's Park, opposite Pearls. Today is well, it used to be known as Pearl Center. You picture yourself a Pearl Center. Opposite, there used to be a old building, a restaurant, operating a restaurant, and that's where they sell beds there, or rather, they have a menu of beds there. Right?
Where did we get these beds? I wonder.
Yeah, they somehow they find a supplier. Recall we had lunch after visiting Yi Ho Hien Club. We went to Yi Ho Hien to meet with our friend Lim Chin Ju, who we were discussing about some research work, and then Lim Chin Ju and his associates from that Yi Ho Hien Club, taking care of the Tan Kah Kee Foundation Museum, they invited us to have lunch, and that was a place. That was a spot where they were selling the beds.
The hawkers are also have been cleared, right? I mean, they are
tremendously
placed in hawker centers now then, so that they are no longer along the streets and clogging up the drains and all that.
Yes, tremendously, and some tried to make a comeback, like the hae mee, a complete far from the original. It's a complete turnaround. You don't get that real Hokkien mee, the hae mee. And also talking about hae mee, the Hokkien mee, the fried one. I'm not talking about the conventional Hokkien mee version that is the much talk about it, much likable in Singapore these days. Everybody loves Hokkien mee. I'm talking about the Chinatown Hokkien mee. You find it in Telok Ayer Street Market in those days. And then with the revamping of the Telok Ayer Market, they shifted to an opposite store, opposite hawker center, which has been demolished. And I was told the guy has gone back to China. He has returned home, re-migrated to China, the old man and the son. That would be the real Hokkien style of mee, the fried mee.
Yeah.
Wet tag. I think I tell you what, in good time, I'll take you to the closest to it, which is located in Gold Wo Hap, where opposite the Wo Hap Center. It's called the Beach Road Hawker Center. or something like that. But I never know the name, but I always go there once in a while to patronize that stall there. That was the closest I could get to it. Right? And it's a promise from me to you. Okay. Oh yes, and then another thing about the Bak Kut Teh, yeah? We had very good Bak Kut Teh, my father's favorite, in Chang Wan Seng Place, which he connects with Chang Wan Seng, Chang Hong Lim Road. Today, expunged. It's expunged, all right? You get Chang Hong Lim Road shifted along Telok Ayer Street, the other part of Telok Ayer Street, away from the original Chang Hong Lim Road, where it connects with Wan Sang Place. And then the very famous, big, huge building was the building of Chang Hong Lim, who owns it. Now, that place, in the 1970s, it was vacant all the time, right? Occupied by this Bak Kut Teh seller, and a very popular and real authentic Hokkien Bak Kut, unlike the Teochew version, which is more lighter. Now, this one is very dark with dark sauce and lots of garlic. And I tell you, this is really Bak Kut Teh by definition. And you check in the dictionary, what is a Bak Kut Teh? They will tell you, go to that place there in Chang Hong Lim Street. That is called Bak Kut Teh.
Better than the ones in Balestier.
Balestier is Teochew version, right? And the Hokkien version is dwindling. The closest is in Hong Lim Shopping Center, at the basement, not at the basement, along the same floor, level 1. That was the closest, but of course, you don't get that garlic, you don't get that spice, right? And it's so crowded, and of course, the Bak Kut Teh owner cooks up. He recognized my father and my father's crony, people like Wee Mong Cheng, who would go there together with my father, together with his good friend from the Golo Club, people like Tan Beng Guan, people like the Si Hai Guan people. Si Hai Guan meaning the Four Seas group, which is next to Wee Chong Hem building, run by or rather the owners of the Wee Chong Hem company. Just next to it, the whole row of all those people would patronize this Bak Kut, and it's very crowded from 8:30 onwards and until 10 o'clock. And if you're lucky, you can get some leftover, some remain, some available from 10:30 into 11 o'clock. Otherwise, it's finished. And it starts as early as 7 o'clock. So the early birds, when they go to office there, the staff, the members of the working staff would patronize there, right? And followed by the towkees.
Alex, I've talked to many people about this, interviewed them about the food that they used to eat, and the common thing, including you as well, the common thing that they say would be the quality of the food, the taste of the food has declined. Do you agree, and why do you think so?
Tremendously, because the new generation of cooks, they lack that talent, that gift from their fathers. And they in turn train the younger generation, the third generation. So we see news now and then of old hawkers giving up, and even the middle-aged giving up the industry for reasons best known to them. And you go to any food center or hawker center, it is so standardized. People go there just for lunch, for dinner. In our generation, we go there for the pleasure of eating. Two different psychology, two different philosophies. It's not just the filling of the stomach, it's also the delight, that entertaining aspect.
Would you maybe say then that actually then if the role of food, the function of food has changed, maybe it's not the hawker's fault to some extent?
Okay, then it's got to do with the high rental cost, and conversely, they will have to find, they meaning the hawkers, they would have to find means and ways to reduce cost, which comes from the raw materials, which comes from the sacrificing of certain spice, certain
Condiments.
pepper, condiments, and the quality of the condiments. They use special sauce. No, they use second-grade sauce. They use second-grade spices, condiments, whatever it is. And in those days, There's no mechanization. So everything is by hand. Then these days, garlic, it's all done. You go to the supermarket, it's all garlic, split garlic. And the ginger is all a bottled ginger. In those days, they produce their own ginger. They produce their own meal, the flour meal. It's handmade. And the broth, the soup, the broth, it's original. It's not going to the supermarket to buy all those condiments for the soup. In those days, it was the marinating. They marinate their own version, and they take time, and they find joy in it because it's the specialty. I'm talking about that generation of hawker. And so the end product, you find it so original and a trademark identifying the hawker's own copyright, his version. That's it. And that goes for, and it's speaking for the Bak Kut, it's speaking for the hae mee, it's speaking for those various dishes. But today, there is that shortcut mechanization and the running of the cost, the running of the high cost of rental, of the food, of maintenance. So all this, the sums up, they add up into a whole formula, and they will have to find a shortcut answer to make it feasible as a commercial project. So that's the problem that they face today.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening today is actually worth noting and studying because we have embraced hawker culture as our intangible cultural heritage. But it seems that a lot of the heritage has declined, has weakened over the passage of time due to various factors, isn't it?
Lots of them. The young tend to be reluctant to go into this business because the sacrifice is much too heavy. Waking up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, to buy the raw materials, to get the chili and to get the various items. Even the chili, today it's all imported chili, the small version, very hot. But my time, it's the larger version, and the way it's sliced, and it's so the fragrance is there. But today, the chili is so hot, got no fragrance at all. And then the ginger, and then the onions and everything, the way they sliced it, and then with the sauce added to it for the frying purpose. Even the sauce, they get it from the cottage industry, where it's cheaper and it's very, very good. It's very original, tastier. But now it's all from the factory, manufacturing factory, mass production. You go to the supermarket, you buy a dozen of this kind of sauce, and it's so cheap because you buy a dozen.
One thing I can tell the listener is that Alex is very particular about his chili. I mean, it's quite. Yeah, go ahead.
Spice, the spice of life. I mean, okay, and spices. Our generation, we were brought up, with that love for condiments, spices, chili, and what have you, the garlic, etc. And my father's, we learned it from my father, who in turn learned from his own father. But definitely, the generation after us, everything is so fast. They miss out on this.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great point, right? Like, the individuality is something that is important. It's not mass produced. If it's mass produced, everything gravitates to the mean, and everything sort of tastes the same, isn't it?
That's right.
Also, very remarkable, right, that our hawkers were able to do this, given the fact that many of them did this not because they love to cook food, but for a living, right? It was a job that people could do in colonial Singapore because there were very few full-time jobs then. But I guess those that made it were the ones who could excel and who could adapt to what customers wanted and all that. So, I mean, let's maybe try to look at this in a kind of more objective way. Were there also bad hawkers in the past, that stores that you would avoid?
Well, if they were bad, in those days, the population was very limited. Everybody knows each other, and word gets round. So you can't survive if the quality is not within the standard of our acceptance. So they can't get away with it. But today they got away with it because new generations don't know the taste of yesteryears. So to them, they said, that's great. So our level from 100 units to degraded to 70 units. To them, that 70 units is 100 units, the younger generation. And then the 70 units level, the 70 units of quality of those days, today is 30 units. So we only bear with it because why we are so hungry, we just want to have a quick bite and finish with it. To them, this 30%, it's 70% to them. So it's to find recommendations from fellow friends, where are the available recommended stalls and hawkers that they discover. Now, this is the new hobby, the new exercise in spare time as we meet old friends. What's it like that you can think of or that you have discovered and you have heard of? And of course, the people who are in the Straits Times will come up with ideas, their live page. And then, of course, Google will give you some ideas. But there again, it's an ongoing exercise trying to bring back the good hawker food of the past, which, unstrangely, is a very difficult effort.
Well, nowadays, if you try to find out where are good places, you use Google reviews and all those mass reviews, which cannot be trusted. And
Because
even
it's all
those that are like 4.5 out of 5, you go there and it's underwhelming.
exactly. Because at the end of the day, it is commercialism. It is profiting. Whereas in those days, the hawkers, they know when to charge and when not to charge high, when to revise the price, and when not to revise, because they in turn the standard of living, it's very low. I mean, the cost of living was very low. I mean, what they are staying in rent control homes. They are staying in Atapchu, in village in where in Bukit Ho Swee distance, where the rental they pay for the huts for the what is it, $5, $10, which is nothing per month, right? And then the transport in those days, they use the 3-wheel cycle all the way, all the stretch, which is zero in cost.
I just want to ask you a final question, Alex. As Chinatown was being transformed in the late 60s, 70s, and it was being emptied out, how did your father feel about the change?
Of course, he felt disappointed because he comes from the generation, he was born in Penang, in the heart of Penang's own Chinatown. He grew up there until he left for university education in China, in Amoy, and then from Amoy he came to Singapore. And he sees that same comparison in the Georgetown China Point and the Singapore China Point. And his fondness for China Point, his fondness for Chinatown, prompted him to establish his office in the Chinatown precinct in South Bridge Road, North Bridge Road, Telok Ayer Street, Peking Street. And that's why his cronies and his good friend and his fellow club members and his fellow clan members, they were all operating there in Chinatown, in Telok Ayer Street. The whole row, all his good friends were all there. Practically in every of those shop houses, the offices were all his friends. Ban Chun and then Kelly Company and Wan Sun B and all these names, company names. They were all located there, Telok Ayer Street, and he calls the Telok Ayer Street the Guan Sun Kueh. He calls that street the Guan Sun Kueh. That proximity, that area, the precinct there.
What did he say about Chinatown as it changed? Did he regard it as a totally different place?
Very, very different, and that did not excite him or inspire him to visit Chinatown, the present Chinatown. He died in 1984, so we had a new Chinatown by then. So it did not kind of inspire him to go there because there's nothing for him to see and nothing for him and there wasn't any purpose for him to go to Chinatown then because the food was horrendous to him and he couldn't find his friends there because Telok Ayer Street has changed. People moved out, the companies moved out, That's it. And then to the other section of Telok Ayer Street where the residents are, all became offices, all became modern offices, where new generation of business people took over. So there's nothing for him to really look forward to. That was my father's attitude and his feelings about the Chinatown that he has missed. And he finished his life in seeing the very end of the old heyday of Chinatown.
We haven't really talked about your mother, right?
Oh, my mother, she's
yeah.
Straits born. Yeah. So obviously the sentiment is not so much in her in Chinatown, save for the fact that she loves the food in Chinatown.
Did she like the same kind of food?
Oh, she loves it because she grew up with that Straits born fondness for cuisine and ability to be a good cook. You know, the Straits born culture is always to be a good cook, to be a good housekeeper, a good seamstress sewing. And she grew up in that milieu, that cultural milieu of that Peranakan social cultural upbringing and education. Of course, she went to a convent school to study.
When you do your tours of Chinatown, and I've had the pleasure of going with you on one of your tours. What is it you try to do on these tours?
Education, disseminating the knowledge of what it was once upon a time, thereby bringing that sense of understanding of our country, of our island. So that greater understanding, that innermost soul in us to really know where we came from. We were born here, we grew up here.
I mean, with regards to Chinatown, is there anything you try to bring out or convey to the people who come onto the tour? What is it that you try to convey?
The atmosphere, the physical, the geography, the sociology, the psychological aspect of the people in Chinatown, that whole entirety of what Chinatown means and defines for people like myself. So that the life's experience, our life's experience, we see the phases that we go through, seeing Chinatown, working in offices located in Chinatown, recreational weekends again in Chinatown where you walk with a you go there early to have a walkabout in time for 7 o'clock, dining in the famous People's Park hawker food court, hawker center, along Telok Ayer Market for lunch, and Telok Ayer Market daytime was a market, and lunch crowded, and lunchtime you really serve good food there.
So Alex, do you think you're up to doing another tour if our listeners are interested to go on one?
I'll be very delighted, Kasing. I'll be very delighted, which brings me to some ideas on comparison of the old and the new via photographs. I'm trying to collect as many old photographs from as many sources and bringing these old photographs to the exact location it is today and see the contrast and see the distinct difference. That would be exciting because it would be like today's generation asking lots and lots of questions. Lots of questions they'll be asking. I didn't know that Sago Lane was where the funerals, the hospice and people dying there, because today is highly tourist. And the road that you take to go to that from South Bridge Road towards New Bridge Road, and a lot of those eating stalls, the eating center there, Chinatown Point, Chinatown Center, hawker center, food center, where you had your drink there with me once, if you could recall. Yeah, so lots and lots of food there. So that part there, it's so different from what it was like in the 1950s. So I'm trying to extricate as many photographs portraying that part of the geography, that part of the physical aspect.
Please share your photographs with us
I will,
if
I
you have
will.
them.
And
Yeah,
even if you have any sources, you help me with them.
I will as well. And I think we both really look forward to that.
Certainly, Kasing.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much, Kasing.